Welcome back to another beautiful fall day in southern Idaho, and happy Halloween. Today we're shooting the 9mm AR because 5.56 is getting more scarce and more expensive right now. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. 5.56 ammunition is starting to become scarce. I mean, you can still find it right now, but prices are going up and demand right now is outpacing supply, which is not a great thing for those of us who like to shoot a lot. But I feel like I have found, I feel like I've got a solution for that. And so I want to share that with you guys today. Also, happy Halloween. Wait till the very end of this video. Every year on Halloween I go out and I make some video shooting pumpkins. This isn't really that video, but at the end of this video, I am going to shoot a pumpkin full of tannerite. So make sure you're subscribed. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, and let's watch. I've heard a lot of people say that PCCs are pointless, but considering it has all the same ergonomics, same controls as your regular 5.56 AR, but you could shoot 9mm for about a third of the price of 5.56 right now, that's worth a lot to me. And it's fun as hell. From the intro, you probably already know what my solution is. So it's this 9mm AR. Now, a lot of people tend to talk about PCCs as if they're pointless. What is the point of a pistol caliber carbine? Why would you have a rifle platform that shoots a pistol round when you could just shoot a rifle round? Well, I agree with that to an extent, especially in a defensive situation, although this is definitely no slouch in a defensive situation. But yes, a rifle round is going to be more effective than 9mm, than a pistol round. There's just more powder behind it, more velocity. The terminal ballistics are more devastating. That's the reality. But the thing about shooting is this. As much as you need ammo saved for a possible defensive situation where you might have to use it, you also need to be able to practice. Shooting is a skill that degrades if you don't use it, if you don't train and practice. And with the price of 5.56 going up, it's going to be harder for people to train and practice and still keep enough ammo around for that SHTF kind of scenario, for whatever defensive situation that you might find yourself in. And so I think a 9mm AR, 9mm PCC is a really great solution to that. This was my very first AR build. It is mostly an Aero Precision EPC9, Aero Precision receivers, handguard, and bolt. The rest of it is parts that I chose. Radian Raptor, charging handle, Talon safety. I got a Rise Armament PCC specific trigger, which is really, really good. It's a fantastic single stage trigger. Really light, crisp. Got a great reset. Great trigger. I'm running a Romeo 5 red dot, which is a pretty basic red dot, but it works. I've got a couple of them, and they haven't failed me yet. And I've had them actually longer than any of my other optics. So I've got no problems with those. I've also SBR'd this, and so I could pretty much have it set up just like my other ARs. Now, I do need a new light setup for this one. I was running a light on it that was sent to me for review. But I think I'm going to get something more of what I would normally choose with a pressure pad offset mount. So that will be coming for this. But the point of it is more as a training aid. 9mm ARs are really cool. You can shoot them at a decent distance like you can your regular AR-15 because of the points of contact and everything else. It handles basically the same way. But you can also shoot them up close if you want on steel, and you don't have to worry about spalling coming back at you. It's pretty sweet. And as a training aid, this thing is perfect. It is an AR-15, so it's got the exact same ergonomics, the exact same controls. You have your safety in the exact same spot, your charging handle in the same spot, mag release, trigger, everything is the same as your 5.56 AR. Especially if you have a short-barreled 5.56 AR, this thing is exactly like that. And these days, they're selling a lot of 16-inch barrel AR-9s because of the whole pistol brace rule. I wouldn't really want a 16-inch AR-9, but you know what? If that's all you can get these days, go for it. Because in my opinion, and I know other people have different opinions, you want something with a stock or a brace on it if you are covered by one of the injunctions. Being able to shoulder it makes a huge difference. And that's also important if you're using it as a training aid for your standard carbine defensive AR-15. You want it to feel the same. And an AR-9 does that very well. Now, a lot of people think the same thing about a dedicated 22 long rifle upper or just a 22 AR in general. And while I think that that's also a great solution, 22 feels a lot different than shooting 5.56. It almost feels like a toy to me. It's 22 is a real bullet for sure. Don't get me wrong; it can definitely be deadly. But as far as the feel of shooting a 22, it feels closer to a BB gun in my opinion, whereas an AR-9 feels very similar to your 5.56 AR, and that's due to the direct blowback action. There's nothing slowing down the bolt reciprocating in a 9mm AR, which makes for a little bit more recoil than you would expect out of 9mm. But again, as far as being a training aid, that's perfect. It feels and it sounds a lot like shooting your 5.56 gun. Now, it's not quite as loud, although I do have a brake on mine, which helps with that recoil, but also makes it louder, of course. But this thing feels very, very similar to shooting any other AR-15. I SBR'd this thing recently, and it sure is nice to be able to run a stock and a vertical foregrip. Love it. The great thing about shooting 9mm is this. 5.56, the price keeps going up. It went from about 50 cents a round to about 70 cents a round, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop going up anytime soon. 9mm, I can still get these 100 round boxes for like 24 bucks. So it's about a third the price. So you could shoot 3 times as much for the same amount of money, or you could shoot the same amount for a third the money. Economics. To me, that makes a lot of sense. For someone that likes to shoot a lot, like I literally go out shooting every single weekend. I can go through 100 rounds of this, and that doesn't really bum me out as far as how much it costs me. 100 rounds of 5.56 right now, this is going to cost me 70 or 80 bucks versus 24. That's a big difference. And like I took this thing out today, shot it, and I had a great time. It's a super, super fun gun to shoot. So if you don't have a 9mm AR, it might be a good time to get into one. You can get one pretty cheap, or you could build one like I did, and it's going to cost you some money up front, but it's going to save you money down the line, and just not make you feel so bad about using up a bunch of ammo when you go shoot. And that money up front, well, it's a good investment. For one, you get to build or buy another AR, and that is always fun in my opinion. I just did a video about why I enjoy building guns, why you should too, and an AR-9 is a fun build. There's no gas system, so it's pretty simple. The parts aren't quite as standardized as your regular 5.56 AR, so just pay attention to that and get parts that do to go together. That's why I use the Aero Precision receiver set with their bolt. We've got a Ballistic Advantage barrel in here, but Ballistic Advantage, Aero Precision, kind of one and the same. And this one even has last round bolt hold open. So that was weird and awkward. But you see, when your mag's empty, it locks back just like your regular AR-15. And then you've got your same ping pong paddle just like you do on your regular AR-15. At the moment, 9mm is still relatively plentiful and affordable to shoot. But you can shoot an AR-9 at much greater distances than you can confidently shoot a handgun. At least I can. One great thing about shooting 9mm also, so I've got a lot of different 5.56 and 2.23 rounds. But if you stock this, like M855 green tip, that is not very good for your steel targets if you like to shoot steel, like I do. I think it's a lot more satisfying to shoot steel. You get instant feedback, you hear it when you hit the target, and you don't hear it when you miss. And I like that. Well, 9mm, it's a much lower velocity than 5.56. And if you know anything about green tip, it's like light armor penetrating, whatever. It's got a steel core in it. Again, it's not good for your steel targets. It's going to pit them. It's going to damage them, especially if you're shooting relatively up close. Whereas with an AR-9, you can shoot as close as you can with a pistol if you want to, and you're running 9mm. 9mm, as long as you have real AR-500 targets, shouldn't damage them at all. But again, because it's an AR-15 style carbine platform, you have the same advantages as you do as far as the ergonomics, controls, but also just the points of contact, and so you can shoot farther out than you generally can with just a regular handgun. At least for me, I feel more confident shooting this farther away than I do a handgun. It's just easier to keep my red dot on target because of the extra points of contact. And so that works for me. It is absolutely beautiful out here this time of year. I love shooting because it's a good reason to get outdoors. Besides all that, it's just a fun gun to shoot. I think everyone should have an AR-9. I know a lot of people, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people think they're pointless. I don't think they are. This could be a great home defense gun if you wanted to use it for that. Put a light on it, optic, and it's short, it's maneuverable. You can run around your home, through your hallways, rooms, very quick and easy. And it doesn't quite get the same kind of velocity as a rifle round. The debate about over-penetration, I think, is overstated to an extent. 5.56 moving that fast, fragments when it hits things anyway. But if you're worried about that, this is going to have the same kind of penetration as your 9mm pistol, but you're going to be more effective with it. You're going to be able to put more rounds on target faster because of the added points of contact again. You can shoot it like your regular AR-15, but instead of a barrel out here, it's just out here. If I was holding a pistol, it would be in the same spot. And so it really doesn't hardly take up any more room than a regular handgun does for maneuvering around your home, but you have all the advantages of a rifle. Not all of them. Most of the advantages of a rifle. We're going to see what happens with this whole ammo situation. Hopefully 5.56 doesn't become hard to find, and hopefully the price tops out at something that's reasonable and comes back down before too long. That seems to be what normally happens. That's kind of what happened with COVID. But we'll see what's going on with this war in Ukraine and the war in Israel against Hamas. It's hard to know what's going to happen. Hopefully, the same thing doesn't happen with 9mm. Right now, the big problem with 5.56 is the Lake City ammo plant, which provides a huge percentage of the ammo to the civilian market in the United States, has stopped civilian sales at the moment. They're only selling to the military in order to deal with these conflicts. So hopefully the supply of 9mm doesn't change, and this is a real long-term solution until 5.56 comes back down in price and becomes more plentiful again. Generally, the way markets work, supply and demand, is that eventually ammunition manufacturers will increase supply to meet the demand. It's what happened toward the end of COVID. Hopefully it happens in this situation as well, and we won't have to worry about this again soon. But for now, I think that shooting an AR that's chambered in 9mm is a great solution for being able to keep training without it costing you a fortune, and then keep your 5.56 defensive ammo for those shit hits the fan type of scenarios, for home defense, for whatever you keep 5.56 for, but you're not wasting it training, but you're still getting your reps in on a platform that feels and shoots pretty much the same way as your defensive carbine. Now, it is Halloween, and I've kind of learned my lesson the last couple years about doing Halloween videos. A lot of people don't even seem to watch them, especially after Halloween itself. But I still like to celebrate Halloween. I like to shoot pumpkins. And so I hollowed out a pumpkin. Actually, my daughter did it for me. A friend of mine, Fish, thank you, Fish, gave me a big ass thing of tannerite, 2 pounds if I remember right, of binary explosive. We put it in that pumpkin and we shot it with, well, I shot it with this 5.56 AR. The reason I used this one specifically is it has a 16-inch barrel. It's the longest barreled 5.56 gun I have. So I wanted to get the most velocity out of it because binary explosives, tannerite, are dependent on velocity in order to work. And because I've gotten magnified optic on this and LPVO, and so I was able to make sure that my shot was pretty dang accurate. Welcome back to Halloween. This is Sawtooth Tactical. So normally we shoot pumpkins on Halloween, but this year we've got a special surprise. The pumpkin's full of tannerite. We've taken all the necessary safety precautions. I've got a fire extinguisher. We're gonna shoot it from way back here. Using my 16-inch rifle with a 1:6 LPVO. Hopefully it's sighted in. We'll see how it does. So I'm a little bit disappointed in tannerite right now. I was definitely not missing. There's the lid to the tannerite. Got stuff all over the place in here. There's a bunch of holes in it, but no explosion. Happy freaking Halloween. Sorry for the letdown. I had this great idea that I was gonna blow up a pumpkin with tannerite and that it would make such a cool Halloween video. And I think the tannerite was maybe wet and had gotten damp somehow. It was like a big hard rock, and I had to sit there and break it up with a stick for like 20 minutes. Mixed it up. I thought I was good to go. I hit it to dead center a bunch of times. The pumpkin was full of tannerite. It had blown apart the container that it was in. I did everything right. I followed the directions. I've shot tannerite before. I do know what I'm doing, but it didn't blow up. But I just wanted to show that anyway. I was a little bummed because it kind of ruined my Halloween video that I planned, but happy Halloween from Sawtooth Tactical. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit a like. We are very, very close to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm going to do a 10,000 subscriber giveaway. I haven't figured out all the details just yet, but I do have a couple of different optics, a couple of different lights, and I think what I'm going to do is some kind of a raffle, and the winner can pick which prize they want. They're all about similar in value, around 150, 200 bucks each, and I figured that way whoever wins can pick something that works for them, because one of them is going to be a rifle light, one of them is a pistol light that fits a SIG P365 and a holster that fits the pistol and the light. And I've also got a couple of different pistol optics. Both of them take an RMR footprint. One is an enclosed emitter and one's an open emitter. So they're not bad prizes by any means. Let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in that at all. What I think I'm going to do is have some Sawtooth Tactical shirts made up. And if you buy a shirt, then you get an entry. And so for the cost of a shirt, you can win like a $200 optic or a light. If that sounds good to you guys, let me know down in the comments. Please subscribe, get me over that 10,000 subscriber mark. I appreciate every one of you guys that has subscribed and that's watched my videos over the last 2 years. It's been a lot of fun growing this channel, and this is just the beginning. The next thing's 100,000. When I hit 1,000 subscribers a year ago, I jokingly was like, oh, next one's 10,000. Well, here we are. And so the next big one is 100,000. Let's get there. Please subscribe if you can. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.